One, two, three, the long feed.
What's going on, everybody? It's Vince with Root Co. Today we have joining with us Andrew the Dad Bod Lawn and a special guest today who we're going to introduce in a hot minute. But we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be catering to those folks that are more southern and have a warm season grass. It's something that's very new to us. We don't talk about it too much, but we hear from our podcast listeners that we need to do more on warm season. So what's better than bringing in Scott Hebert from Grass Clippings? He's the Director of Origami. Oh, wait. Not origami. Agronomy.
Yeah.
Welcome, Scotty.
Yeah, man. Scotty Hebert.
Welcome to the podcast.
All good. Yeah, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. So before we get into it, guys, make sure you are always checking out our website. We ourselves have premium t-shirts and apparel that's just guaranteed to make you look better in your lawn. And Grass Clippings has some apparel as well, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and they are dope. So please go over there and take a look at them. We'll get into that a little bit further. And before we do get into all this, we need to take care of some business. Andrew, what's this segment? Is it Dad's Wins and Losses?
It is Dad's Wins and Losses, and today's going to be a little special Dad Win and Lost. After talking with Scotty, we realized he is actually not a father, but he has a dog always at his hip. So we're going to spice things up today, and it's going to be a dog owner win or loss today.
I like it.
And this portion of the podcast is sponsored by Forefathers, a polo company that's elevating the dad apparel for the DIY dad and the OG of that turf dad polo, you know, the one with the lawn stripes on it. Anyways, use code THELAWNFEED for 20% off your entire order at shopforefathers.com. That's a pretty sweet deal. Make sure you guys cash in on that. But Scotty, why don't you hit us with a dog win and a dog loss?
Dog win and dog loss. So, yeah, Rye is my dog. Rye Scottsdale, her Instagram, which definitely has more clout than I do and street cred. So, yeah, most recent win, you know, we're starting to get a little chillier, so we're starting to see some migratory birds, and I have a much smaller irrigation pond at my new property here, Rolling Hills, than I did up at TPC Scottsdale. So, a definitely smaller population of waterfowl to kind of manage pests, but we had about 20 Canadian geese kind of flocking the other day, and you know, Rye's just edging, ready to go, and you know, she was pretty good on command, so I had her kind of wait for me, and I snuck around the side and whistled up, and she just flanked him out. Her brother Hank was with us, and he charged around the corner too, got him up off the turf, got him out of the property, and it was perfect. You know, we've been training for it for years, and I've taken her out to hunt a couple times. Being up at TPC Scottsdale, my life was pretty demanding up there from a work standpoint. So trying to get her some more bird dogging, aside from obviously managing the golf course. So that was a proud dog dad moment for sure.
So she's more than just a pretty furry face. She actually does work.
Yeah,
she does. She's my supervisor.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she doesn't just pee on the grass and try to ruin it. She actually serves a purpose.
Yeah, and then yeah, if you're ready for the loss, I think the only thing, she's pretty responsive, very well trained, really good, but there's a couple coyotes on property too, and she saw the one and just took off at it. And, man, I was screaming at the top of my lungs trying to get her back because, you know, you don't want anything getting mange. I mean, she's up on her shots and all that. So, but man, I was so pissed at her, and she finally came back, and then I grabbed her, I whooped her and threw her in the cart and drove her back to the shop. I was like, all right, well, you're here the rest of the day. So that was tough because she's on the course 24/7 with me. I mean, I'm here about 14, 16 hours a day at this point with everything we have going on. So, I mean, didn't want to do it, but you know, can't go chasing yotes.
Yeah.
Is that a pretty common problem that you have a lot of coyotes on the property?
We got a couple on this one. You know, they're not too big. Yeah, not like when I was up north. There's quite a few, a bigger population up there, but I mean, they're around. They're really not a huge threat. It's just, making sure they're always trying to like, pick up percent and sneak up around. I mean, they're crafty little guys, but just gotta keep your wits about you. Keep a high-powered BB gun in your cart.
There you go. There you go. Well, cool. Well, that's a good win and a loss. Good thing that she ended up coming back to you. And there's no injuries from any coyotes. But we are talking about warm season grass today, mainly for the DIY homeowner. You are a pro. You are the director of agronomy. But give us a little bit more of a background. You have a pretty awesome background because you just left a previous golf course that a lot of people know about. So tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Yeah. So I was kind of talking to Andrew before you jumped on. I grew up on the East Coast, so from Connecticut originally, but kind of grew up in the Baltimore area. So transition zone, you get hot, cold, you get winters in the 70s, you can get 3 feet of snow. It doesn't matter. So Bermuda grass, tall fescue, we see it all. So kind of have a background of, managing turf in that region. Went to grad school at University of Maryland and got my golf course agronomy kind of degree there, and was at Congressional for a couple years. It was great, loved it, and then moved across the country to Seattle and worked at the Holly Country Club, which is pretty much POA, wall to wall. That's all they can really grow out there. There's like 13 different biotypes on the greens alone. So it's a Mod Podge, and it's pretty wild out there, the seasonality of it. Then I left Seattle and moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina, worked at Quail Hollow for a few years there also. And, Carolina's hot, humid, Bermuda grass based, very heavy overseed. So hosts a ton of high-end professional tournaments, President's Cups, PGA, Wells Fargo every year. So a lot there. And then I left Quail Hollow and moved out to Scottsdale, Arizona, and was a superintendent at TPC Scottsdale for about 4.5, 5 years, hosting the Phoenix Open. Pretty high-end facility, 50,000 rounds a year at least between the two courses.
Wow.
Huge build, huge construction build. Scaffolding going up. I mean, it technically sits in a floodplain, so they can't build any permanent structures. So every year we got to build it up and break it down, which is always fun to manage. And you got a bunch of people out there. Yeah, you got a bunch of folks out there trying to dig out turf and running over irrigation heads. You got to mark main lines for them driving stakes in the ground. So it's a lot. It was a ton. And I recently departed that property early April and joined Grass Clippings. They had the opportunity to purchase this golf course, Rolling Hills, that was managed by the city of Tempe.
What is Grass Clippings? What is Grass Clippings?
Grass Clippings is a brand, essentially. It's a golf brand. It started in Phoenix, Arizona, kind of right in Arcadia, if you're familiar with that area. Bunch of great guys that grew up playing golf, being around it. Those guys that just want to be on the golf course all the time. So early, end of day, and, they saw the greenskeepers out there, busting their hump early hours, late at night, trying to just get it done. Kind of had this epiphany, like, wow, like, we really should shed some light on this and kind of pay tribute to that. So that's really what the brand is about, is promoting the greenskeepers and the turf managers of the world, the guys that are out there working in the shadows, trying to put the best product forward for people to enjoy. So it's a great group of guys.
That's awesome.
Giving me a ton of support. Yeah, they've been awesome. I invited them up to the Phoenix Open about 2 years ago because I reached out. I was like, hey, you're a local golf brand. I'm hosting the Phoenix Open. I would love to get some of your gear out to my volunteers that are coming to help me out with the tournament, get a shirt done, a couple hats, and, kind of share your brand. And they actually ended up coming up to the property a few times and did got some content following me and my team around and showing how we kind of prepare the course leading up to the event. And, we kind of struck a really good relationship after that and just kept in touch and had this great opportunity where they had the chance to buy this Rolling Hills golf course in the city of Tempe, and it hadn't been managed well in 60 years, maybe at best. So, this is the biggest fixer-upper scenario ever in the term.
So you guys just built, or you bought a golf course that was like semi-abandoned.
Yeah. pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, it was operational, but man, they didn't put anything into it. It's in rough shape. These before and after pictures are gonna be wild.
And what are your goals for that? What's the plan for that?
So yeah, this property, we got it July 1st. Had to host golf for about 2 months right now. So we finally closed down on Monday to actually get some work done. So we had the front nine open for play, and the back nine we were building a bunch of new tee boxes, doing some renovation work, trying to spray out weeds, just trying to get the water audited. I mean, because it's been the irrigation system was faulty at best. So now that we have the full course closed, we're putting up stadium style lighting. So we have night golf going in. We have a full driving range, fully lit TrackMan driving range, or Top Tracer driving range, excuse me. Building a couple bars out on property that'll kind of overlook the whole facility. It's in a really great location right near, really right in Tempe. So you can kind of see like ASU Stadium. You can see Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, all the planes coming down, cityscapes. It's awesome. It's a sweet spot. But the next 3 years, we're dropping about $15 million on the place to get it fully lit, get the restaurants, get the bars up and going, get the driving range right. And then April 2024, we're going to close down again for about 6 months or so and, redo the greens complexes and really kind of have at it. So this first year is just kind of getting the market, getting the lights up, showing a presence, getting the F&B rolling and, trying to get this thing off the ground.
That's really cool. It's you were telling me earlier it's an executive course, right?
Yeah, short course. I think it's par 62. So
yeah, that's
about
cool
6
because
par
you guys are setting it up to be like kind of like a party course. Like people are going to go there, have a lot of fun. There's going to be bars everywhere. There's going to be night golf. Like it's an experience that people are not going to be able to get pretty much anywhere. And on top of that, people are going to be possibly shooting low scores, and maybe like quicker rounds as well with having a lower par at the executive course. So that sounds like it's a riot.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. I mean, the plan is to keep the lights on until about midnight, but if it's a private event, we'll keep them on until 2 a.m. If needed. So.
Sounds like the lawn feed needs to make a private event out there.
Yeah, you guys should get some corporate membership.
There we go.
That would be sweet.
And the beauty of having an executive course is like it's a 90-acre property, but I only really have 40 acres of irrigated turf, and that number I'm reducing with overseed and some desert transition stuff. I mean, I went to school to grow grass, and here obviously water's a big issue, so we're working on scaling that back to kind of have your in-play areas. But I mean, with a course of this size, I mean, I can water the whole place in like 2 hours. So from a maintenance standpoint, it's actually kind of awesome.
Wow.
Now, what kind of grass are you dealing with at this course?
Bermuda grass base. So we have 328 on our greens, which is a very, very older cultivar. I think it's from like the 70s, maybe the 60s. So it's aged for sure. And then kind of a blend of maybe Tipta or some types of common Bermuda, might be some Bandera, I don't know, but it's pretty much all Bermuda base out there. So we can go into dormancy over winter, so we'll obviously have to overseed to kind of keep a green product out there for people to play on and keep driving around and revenue so it doesn't get too beat up in the winter months.
Is that going to be like a perennial rye or a Kentucky Blue?
Yeah, so greens will be Poetrivialis at about 15 pounds per thousand, and then we'll do a ryegrass cover crop about 15, 20 pounds per thousand also, just to kind of retain a little moisture in the boundary layer.
Yeah,
it's heavy.
15 to 20 pounds?
Per thou, yeah.
I don't even want to know what your grass seed bill is. That's got to be insane.
For 40 acres, it's not that bad. What was it? TGC, it was 220. It was ginormous.
Who's your grass seed guy, man?
Yeah, I got the hookup. You let me know. But yeah, pretty much perennial ryegrass, wall to wall. Well, not this first 2 years actually, since we're so inundated with weeds. I'm really only going to overseed T-tops, fairways approaches, greens, some of the green complex borders. That way we can really kind of go after some of these weed populations in the winter and kind of spray them out pretty intensely. So we got to clean up some edges, but yeah. But yeah, ryegrass and Poetriv.
Man, Poetriv, that's not something we like to hear up here. That is
No, Poe is a dirty word.
Vince and I have both dealt with Triv, and Vince most recently.
Part of the reason why the sideline is completely killed off right now.
Oh man, yeah, Poe's yeah, it's a necessary evil out here. Poe Triv at least. I mean, as far as just regular Poe, I mean, we try to treat for it. Those seed heads pop up. You just got to time your apps the right way.
So if you overseed your greens with Triv, what do you do when the Bermuda comes out of dormancy?
A lot of verticutting. So when we start to transition, like April-ish, depending on the temperatures, a lot of verticutting, cross-cutting directions, just to try to move some of that organic material and really kind of raise it up. I mean, that Bermuda will start to wake up kind of on its own. Typically, haven't really sprayed out anything on greens. If anything, we spray out wherever we oversee with ryegrass. Typically, kind of a 3-step process. Sapphire is a product we use. We usually do like a third rate end of April, and then another third rate kind of end of March, and then we'll do curb. I don't know, May, maybe June, depending on the season, at like a third rate also. And the whole point of doing those partial rates is so you're not just killing it right away, because we still have to maintain a good playable product. So we need to keep the grass green. So as we're kind of slowly killing off that cool season overseed, that Bermuda is waking up, and we're doing a lot of thatch removal, verticutting, lower mowing heights, just to try to get sunlight into that canopy. So as that cool season's dying, that Bermuda is starting to wake up, and you kind of have a smooth transition.
Nice, very cool. Well, it's been really, really neat hearing about this, your professional side of everything here in this exciting course that's coming down the pipeline here. For everybody listening, if you head over to grassclippings.com, check out the store. Like, see the Stay Grassy stuff. Like, you've probably seen us wearing it before. They got some really cool swag, some really cool merchandise, shirts, apparel. Definitely worth checking out. And they also, as Scotty had mentioned, they came and followed him around at TPC a year or two ago, and they did a really nice documentary piece following you guys around. And I watched that, and I was like, this is like, I was not expecting that kind of quality. Production. They did a really nice job. So I believe that's over on their website too, maybe on their YouTube channel. Go check that out. It's a cool piece. But let's get back into like the DIY side of things here. We've had a lot of people reaching out, asking about warm season. We have a lot of people that listen. Even though we're cool season guys primarily, this is why we want to bring people like yourself on to talk about this kind of stuff. So let's hit on a few of the important things that you can do during the fall heading into winter for warm season. Up here in the north for cool season, we're dethatching and verticutting. What about warm season? Is this something that should also be done?
Yeah, I mean, you want to do that type of agronomic practice when you're getting really good growing temperatures. So if you're growing your Bermuda grass, your zoysia grasses, they generate quite a bit of thatch. Obviously, they're very lateral growing, and they'll get kind of squishy, kind of puffy. So, but you want to do a lot of your cultural practices when you're really in the summer to kind of remove a lot of that material. And then, before that kind of tapers down into the fall, you really want to have a good clean stand, and then start to slowly start bringing your mowing height up. That way because basically all plants, they replicate above what they want below. So, roots should match the shoots. Look at a tree, roots should want to be what it looks like above. So grass is the same way. So in order to kind of get deeper roots, you move your mowing height up, drive the root growth down, and then obviously you'll want to throw some kind of complete fertilizers out there, or something that's a little heavier on the P and K side as the season starts to go. But when you're in the big thing is being proactive, not reactive, right? Like because one thing always kind of leads to the next step of the process. So having a good growing season, fertilizing, making sure things aren't too wet, and just keeping the plant dry, really, and really keeping a vegetative state throughout the summer months when it's really wanting to grow. And then as you realize you're getting like early September, things are starting to cool off a little bit. Raising that mowing height up, not being as aggressive, because it's not going to grow as much. It's going to want to push down into the soil. That way, that you have a good base. So when it comes out of winter dormancy, you have a strong root system that's going to give you a good spring green up.
So to go back a little bit on dethatching, verticutting, you mentioned that you can do this with warm season grass. I did a video on my bluegrass about verticutting and scarifying. What warm season grasses can you verticut, dethatch, scarify? What can you not?
I mean, in my opinion, you can do it. You can always beat up warm season grass, man. The heavier you hit it, the better it'll be. You know, it's probably not as common
So
for
like St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, same deal. I mean, it's a very lateral growing type of turf. So I recommend, always kind of cleaning the surface a little bit and getting some vertical mowing in. If you're able to top dress, I mean, sand is grass's best friend because it has good, good pore space, allows the kind of roots and shoots to kind of spread out. So if you're able to verticut, mow, and then top dress right after it, I mean, that's the best, formula in my opinion. I was at Quail Hollow, verticut, mow, top dress every Monday, from out mid-spring through the summer, and our
Wow.
greens were prime. It's what you can get and what you can get done, right? Not everyone has that capability. But yeah, I mean, any warm season grass is gonna want to grow laterally and just generate a ton of organic material. So if you can do it at home a couple times in a growing season, 2 to 3 times, I think, and be pretty aggressive at it, I think you'll be really happy with the quality lawn you have.
Yeah. So guys, for the DIY side, if you don't have the equipment to be able to do that, a lot of rentals have verticutters that you can rent. It's just a walk behind machine. Some of you guys have some reel mowers that have the verticutting attachments on them as well, since you are cutting them low. So you have a win-win there. But you can rent these things for pretty cheap. Before you would top dress, is there a good time to be aerating? Do you want to aerate the warm season lawns?
Yeah, absolutely. Same deal when they're in that vegetative state. So end of spring when things are actually kind of woken up, depends on your season a little bit. Typically, if your night temperature is around 70, 80, and your days are kind of getting a little hotter, a little more humid, depending where you are, that's a great time to aerify. I mean, we aerify out in Scottsdale. Usually July is kind of when we do it because we know it's just going to be so hot. But humidity plays a big factor with any warm season grass, especially Bermuda grass. So you have some good humidity that's, 85, 90-degree temps and 70% humidity. I mean, by all means, the more holes you put in, the better. Like I said, when you have warm season grass, it just generates so much organic material. And the more you can pull out and replace with sand, I mean, the healthier the plant will be because you want that water to be able to percolate and just drip all the way through. Those roots just want to drive down.
So I know you already kind of touched on fertilizing a little bit. You said, fertilizing during the active growing time in the summer, since it is warm season, that is the growing time. But as we start to dive down into the cooler temperatures, like you probably are about right now, is there fertilizer that should be applied, or are there other products that maybe aren't fertilizers that are beneficial for this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to fert, like I said, you're getting into the cool season, you're going to want to push that root growth. So you don't want to use something that's too nitrogen heavy. So if you went with like, I don't know, like a 5, 10, 15 or a 5, 10, 10, something like that, where you have a heavier P and K, you're going to call on those carbohydrates within the plant to go towards the roots. That's what you want to drive because the stronger root, carbs are the best, baby.
Love them.
Yeah, you want to push that root system as best you can going into the cold months. That way, you're going to have a good spring green up. And moisture management's, really key. You don't want to try to flood irrigate. Depending, where you guys. I mean, you guys are all a little bit northern. Probably get some pretty humid summers. You don't want a pool of water like a rice paddy sitting in there when it's 90 degrees out because you're essentially boiling the plant. You want to make sure it dries down properly. So making sure you get wet and drying periods to allow those roots to kind of grow down and dry down versus kind of just baking in that thatch layer. So making sure that your irrigation is good uniformity, you're not getting too wet, you're watching your corners, wherever your kind of irrigation heads are, or however you're watering, hand watering. The plant wants to be dry, but it needs water. So there's this fine line between stressing it out and overwatering that people need to kind of manage. And every situation is obviously going to be different, whether it's a slow sloping lawn, or you have kind of dips and bowls to it, or it's relatively flat. Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do. I mean, if we all had the opportunity, you'd want it to be laser level, right? It's kind of nice, smooth. But being a homeowners, man, it doesn't work that way unless you really put the time in.
So, just listening to this all being said, a lot of it's more springtime. That's the essential time to be doing these things. Is for someone that may have just moved into their home now, or is just kind of like, hey, cool season guys are picking up. Now I need to do something. Is it too late for them right now to be verticutting, top dressing, aerating?
No, I mean, I think it depends where you are. If you're still having day temperatures in the 80s, you can get out there and do it. I mean, you're still going to have some recovery. You're not going to probably see it when you're further north in October. I mean, Scottsdale, I mean, I had an October where it was still 100 degrees when we were throwing seed, and we're worried about it baking out.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's different, man. It's so regional from where you are. So it really just knowing what you have, what you're trying to grow, and paying attention to your weather patterns and knowing what the type of year is going to be like. I mean, obviously you'll know when it gets there, but you want to plan ahead as much as you can. But if it's September out here, I mean, our day temps are 110 maybe, nights are 85, so I can still go at it a little bit. I think September's the best time to grow Bermuda grass. You get down to the Carolinas, you still have some good times, you still have some good temps ahead of you, but you start moving a little further north, like Virginia, Maryland. I mean, you're probably starting to check up a little bit. Your nighttime temperatures are probably getting down to 60s, and day temps are maybe 75, 65. I mean, it's just following it, just following your weather. You can do it for sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like I missed my window up here. I have a Tahoma 31 plug in a pot out in my backyard. It's looking good. It's got some good runners, but we've had nights in the 50s and days like mid 60s, low 70s. So I miss my time to run a knife down in there and cut it. But
I mean, you can still do it. It's not going to recover as quick, but it's still good for it. Anytime you open the plant up, it encourages it to grow in.
True.
Bring it inside, put it on a grow light. It'll be good.
Yeah, it'll still be like 65, 70 degrees. Probably still be too cold, but hey. Well, we're going to see how it does over the winter here in Michigan in my basement under a grow light. So
nice. Curious to see how that one goes.
So, Scotty, that seems like we pretty much covered everything that we had planned to talk about here. Is there anything that you recommend this fall people be doing? People, maybe be planning for coming out of winter, maybe going into spring?
Yeah, coming out of winter, I mean, depends how much snow cover you had, if any. A common kind of disease you'll see is spring dead spot, where you kind of get these big isolated circles. That usually appears under snow cover. I mean, you might see some pink snow mold or something, or even gray snow mold up where you are, I guess, depending on where that is. But I mean, Bermuda grass, any of your warm season turf is so resilient, you can fertilize out of it. So if you see these big kind of frog-eyed circular looking patterns, and don't get disheartened about it, you can fert out of it. There is a little bit of disease probably living in there, but as long as you kind of verticut, mow, top dress, I mean, you'll kind of get rid of it. I wouldn't recommend trying to chase it with some kind of fungicide or anything, because like I said, it's Bermuda grass or it's zoysia. I mean, those are some of the most resilient stuff out there that really don't have a big disease need out there. It's not like you're growing bent grass or something you're going to have to really handle. But yeah, I mean, just looking at it, you can't stare at, the same good spot and be like, oh, that's good. I mean, usually in my profession, I tend to stare at the worst places and forget how good everything else is looking. Advice to the greenskeeper. You always see the problems. But yeah, I mean, get down there. If you see something that doesn't look right or it's not keeping up, get down there and get on your hands and knees, pull the plant up and start peeling through it and look at the leaf blades. If you see it starting to look a little chlorotic, starting to look a little yellow, it's kind of wavy, or you're seeing hourglass lesions, look for shapes. You can't just stand from your 6-foot view. You got to get down there and really dig in. If there's an issue, I mean, get a soil profile or get a plug out and dig in, see what's up with it. The biggest thing you can do is just actually get hands on. You can't just look at it and be like, oh, I'm gonna try this. Like, proper diagnosis will always give you the best solution.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Kind of sounds like warm season grass is kind of easy to manage.
I know. I want
a little
Bermuda
jealous.
grass so bad right
It's
now.
the
Like
best,
the
man.
more I learn
It's so
about
great.
it, you just beat the
absolutely
crap
love it.
out of it, and then it just like it loves you back.
Comes back angry and just healthier, and just you can't kill it. Just
You can't. It's hard,
So-
man.
So we're pretty close to at least I'm pretty close to Baltimore. That transition, we're kind of like in the armpit near Philly, and we have a bunch of Bermuda up here too. And one of the properties, one of my friend's properties, we tried killing that out, and it just keeps coming back. Just keeps coming back.
It's tricky where you are because I think your ideal lawn is your Kentucky Blues, your tall fescues. So I mean there's a couple products out there. Pilex, I don't know if it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's commercially available or residential available.
You can get residential Pilex, yeah.
Can you? Yeah. But even that, I mean, you just stunt it. You just bleach it. It slows it up. It's hard to kill Bermuda grass. Any warm season turf, man, it's ready to run. I mean, if you've ever been out to the West Coast and seen the kikuyu grass, I mean, that stuff takes over road signs, pulls it to the ground. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, nuts. You can't get rid of it. You just got to live with it. So
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So if you buy a house down in warm season territory, if you, let's say you have St. Augustine, can you switch it to Bermuda, or is that just like not something that people do?
I mean, you can sod cut it out and then probably spray some fusilade or Roundup combo, whatever you want to do to try to fumigate. But I mean, those warm season grasses, man, their root zones are just so deep and resilient, and they have such a network. It's so hard to just get it out clean. But I mean, yeah, like if you go to St. Augustine grass, I mean, great long grass, great for the kids. It looks good. It feels good to walk on. Crabgrass, oh man, you want to see crabgrass? Come out here. I mean, you should see. There's this book called Weeds of the West. You could rewrite that entire thing for what's on my property right now. I have all of it. Yeah, I got a lot of creativity going on to try to get rid of some of this inundation.
I was just asking in case I ever get my vacation home down south. That'll never happen, but just I can dream about renovating a warm season lawn someday as a second house or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Get that.
It'll be a timeshare, and they won't let me touch it. So
you can push for it. Get Zoysia, man. That's the stuff right there. Good for the kids.
Yeah.
If you can get Zoysia through its first year of establishment, you'll never have any problems. It's the best. Bermuda's great. Don't get me wrong. It all depends on what you want, what you look and feel. But Zoysia is resilient. And it looks cool.
Nice. Well, Scotty, we as a Lawn Feed greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your insanely busy day to hop on here and teach us homeowners a little bit more about warm season grass, what to do in the fall time, and kind of just have a better grasp on managing it correctly. Where can people find you if they want to hear your story and follow along with your pup?
Yeah, man. I mean, Instagram's probably the easiest way. Mine's Scotty Hebes, Rye _of _Scottsdale, Rye Scottsdale. And then obviously anything that Grass Clippings is promoting and putting out. So grassclippings.club and Grass Clippings at Rolling Hills. They do a phenomenal job. You guys kind of talked about some of their media content earlier, and lots more to come. They do a phenomenal job kind of documenting what we've been doing to this golf course, as well as the progression of everything going on, and really just trying to shine light on people that take care of turf. I mean, it's not just golf course guys. It's people that manage horse racing tracks or USC's football stadium. Grass is everywhere, right? There's different ways to manage it for different venues. It doesn't matter if you're hosting golf or horse races or a concert venue or college football. There's so many applications, and they do a great job of showing that. And it's a great company to be a part of. And yeah, love these guys, man. They've made everything I want to do for a property starting to come to life. It's going to be an uphill battle getting this thing where we want it to be, but I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a chance to chat with them a little bit a couple months back. They're real down to earth, cool guys. So, yeah, everybody, make sure you go follow Scotty, follow his dog, go check out Grass Clippings, get yourself some sweet swag, and we'll catch you guys all in the next episode. As for Vince Rulonko, Andrew Dad Bodlon, and Scotty, we'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.